The Electric Rodeo is an adult toy megastore podcast about sex, toys, pleasure, and relationships.
It contains adult themes, adult language, and probably too much information about our sex lives.
Sorry, Mum. Kia ora, everyone. Welcome back to the Electric Rodeo. I'm your host, Emma Hewitt.
And I still haven't pegged, but it's okay because I don't have the cardio for it. Tash Bull.
There is still so much time.
Yeah,
we got like 2 more episodes.
two episodes.
Okay, you're right. You fucked it.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't happening anyways, but I just thought I'd let everyone know. Have been hitting the gym. Arms are looking good. Cardio's still not there.
I tell you what, you've got 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I believe in you.
I'm gonna train to run a marathon in 2 weeks.
Yeah, nailed it.
Can't wait.
So how you going? What's been happening? Any other ticks off the list?
No.
Great.
I'm thinking about it. Yeah. Still need to be doubly penetrated.
Oh, true.
And I still need to do the Lover's Art Kit.
True.
Yeah. No, I'm excited about it. I just haven't really got round to it. I'm just living my life.
It's been a busy time, you know. Silly season.
It's been silly indeed.
Haven't been silly with the double dildo, the double dilly, silly with the dilly, but
silly with the double dilly. And I don't know the answer, but Emma, any ticks off the bucket list for you?
Nah.
No.
I was hoping you would have something to discuss, but that's fine.
What's still on yours?
I've still got the underwear vibrator.
Yeah, because that was a non-starter.
That was just, I keep forgetting about that. I even just then forgot what it was called.
You're going to end up going to the dog park.
100%. It's either that or the wedding I'm going to this weekend.
Oh, not at a wedding. Not at a wedding.
Should I do it on a flight?
Oh, okay, that's an option.
Is it though?
Yeah, because
I get full body scanned every time I go through airport security.
Oh yeah, no.
100%.
Yeah, you've got that look about you.
I do.
They're not even looking
Suspicious.
for anything like dangerous. They're like that chick's got a panty vibe in
Yeah,
it.
100%.
Yeah.
And to be fair, normally they are right. The other thing is still the rope tying as well.
Ooh.
But we do have access to a class, which
That's
we're
a good
very
update.
excited about. So we will be doing that before the end of the season. And I just ordered heaps of new rope. And I got some black stuff and some pink stuff. So it's really pretty. And I'm really excited to use it. And then the other one is still the erotica, which I am putting together in the background based off of all of our lovely Instagram followers'
Yes.
ideas and things that they have suggested that we talk about. So you're just going to have to wait for that one because I'm pretty sure that Tash is going to do a reading with doing all the voices. That's what I heard. That's what
Did I
people
agree to that, or are you
saying.
putting me on the spot?
I'm putting you on the spot.
Oh, I'd love to. I was like, did I agree to it? That's a great idea. Yes, I think they'll all eventually blend into one. But if you give me, I think you need to give me some character outlines.
Yeah,
So
for
I
sure.
have time to just do some voice work.
Yeah. We'll give you the backstories. We'll make sure you really
Maybe,
nail that.
Talk to my dialect coach.
Yeah, of course. Well, you've got 2 weeks to do that. So
Yeah, that and a bunch of cardio.
busy girls.
But, I mean, let's direct our attention to what we're doing today.
Okay. It's a little... Okay, pause. Pause for effect.
Okay.
Fine. So today we have an anatomy class, really.
Yeah.
We're going back to school.
Yeah.
3 seasons into the Electric Rodeo and realised that we've never actually just done an episode about our bodies and why things feel good and why sexy stuff feels sexy inside the body. So we thought we would talk about that today.
I'm excited. Let's talk about stimulating some sexy parts and some not so sexy parts. There's some sneaky erogenous zones in there that you might not think to be hitting that could really, really hit the spot.
The sneaky little erogenous zones. Love those.
And Emma, as the resident sex nerd, is very much going to be taking the lead on giving all the information. So shout out to Emma for having the knowledge.
Yay for me. So what we're talking about when we talk about this kind of stuff is our sexological anatomy, which is fun to say.
I love saying sexological anatomy.
It feels so good. Yeah. And we just use that term just to basically differentiate from the reproductive anatomy, because that's kind of what you've probably actually learnt about in school. You know, like you're hearing about how you get pregnant and, you know, what the uterus is and your fallopian tubes. And look, important shit.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. But they're not the sexy parts.
No.
And no one necessarily teaches you about the sexy parts. I'm sure that for a long time, and maybe you still are, but you might be using the term vagina to talk about your vulva.
Oh, because we share this gripe.
Because no one ever tells you that those are two different things.
No, I definitely didn't learn that in school.
Yeah.
Vagina, internal, vulva, external.
Yay, there we go.
If you just learnt something, congratulations. I'm very sorry that the sexual health lessons in your school failed you.
Yeah, well, they failed all of us, I would say. But don't worry, we're here. We're here to discuss all of these different parts. So we're just going to go through them all the sexy bits, and kind of talk a little bit about whether we like them or not, because there's a few areas that I think are very popular areas that maybe we're just not into.
Oh.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
Because even though these are the sexy bits, the bits that can bring about arousal and make you feel good and feel excited.
Yeah.
We're all different. Not everything feels good for everyone.
Yeah.
The way that your nerves are structured in your body will vary slightly from person to person, and some things might just make you feel ticklish, whereas that will make someone else orgasm. So we're all different. Everything is normal. We're here to learn, but we are not here to judge. So if we're talking about something that we love and you don't like it, that's okay. Fine.
It's like one of the key phrases taken away from Come As You Are, all the same parts organised differently.
Yeah,
is that
exactly.
What it is?
Yeah.
All the same parts, just looking a little different.
Organised differently, gang.
And that's okay.
It's good.
And, I'm excited to see, what we both like. Maybe I feel like me and Emma are going to learn a little bit more about each other. I feel like we know each other so well, especially in this area of our lives, but we've never talked this specifically about stuff. So yeah, it could be fun.
And I've got some suspicions, so I am excited to see if they're right.
Could you just list off a suspicion you have about me?
No, there are just two areas that I don't particularly like, but I think you're super into.
Oh, fabulous. All right, let's crack into it.
Okay, let's start. So the first thing that I wanted to talk about is the boobs and the nipples. Hey.
Whoop, whoop.
Whoop, whoop. Look, we got boobies and nipples. That's fun.
We both do, yes.
That's fun for us. I love the look of boobies.
Yes. On yourself and other people?
Yeah, these are my favourite part. They're quite exceptional, to be fair. And other people also are doing really well.
For a couple of podcasters, we do have a great set of boobs.
I know. We should be on camera.
Honestly, if you guys aren't following socials and you've only heard our voices, please go to Electric Rodeo Podcast on Instagram, because there's a lot more to see.
So for a lot of people, the nipples in particular can feel really highly sensitive. And that's because there are lots of nerve endings all throughout the structure of the nipple. But the other thing that can also make the nipples feel really good is that stimulating those also sets off sparks in the same part of your brain as touching your other genitalia would.
Yeah.
So that's kind of why there's a bit more of that connection.
Yeah.
In saying that, I don't really like my nipples being touched.
Right. And that's always been the case?
Always. So and it's hard because it's hard for my partners because they are, as we've just discussed, great areas.
Those hands are magnets, those breasticles.
But I'm just not, it's too much. Maybe my nerve density is just it just doesn't do it. And I've tried nipple clamps, and I don't mind nipple clamps because it's kind of a consistent pressure, if you know what I mean.
Yes.
I don't like movement or pinching, unless it's a nipple clamp for some reason, that's fine, but I don't like human pinching, little pinches.
So just for my understanding, it's just the nipples, so you like a boob grab, but you just don't like a nip squeeze.
I don't know what's going on. My boobs are always sore.
Right.
No matter where I'm at in my cycle.
Right.
They're going to be, they just get more sore, but there's never a period where they're not really a bit sore or sensitive, you know what I mean? So, yeah, it's fine when I do it because I know the pressure.
Yeah.
I am sitting here groping my chest, obviously.
Well, yeah,
we can't help ourselves.
It's so interesting, you know, it's such a burden to have great boobs and have everyone want to touch them and like not want them to be touched, you know? It's like heavy as the chest that bears the breast.
Yeah. Yes, exactly like that. Yeah, but you like it.
Yeah, I've always had big boobs. All my partners have always wanted to get all up in that, and that's great. It makes me feel great. I love my boobs. I did have something occur around 2 to 3 years ago physically that I won't get into that resulted in me getting into nipple stimulation. So prior to that, I don't really know what my relationship with it was.
Yeah, right.
I don't remember. I didn't love it and I didn't have a problem with it, but something happened and now I have more sensitive nipples. And obviously that can be good and bad. But in terms of sex, it's been fantastic. So it's quite interesting just because George and I, like, both of our love languages are physical touch. And so he often will just kind of be like touching me while we're sitting around, which is great. Love that. But it's interesting because there's a fine line between, like, sometimes he'll kind of like squeeze a nip and I'll be like, and then, you know, it, like you say, it lights off the sparks in my brain and it makes my parts feel good. And then, you know, that could actually be like a very easy segue into sex. Or sometimes because they're sensitive and like maybe I'm not in the mood, like maybe I'm slamming on the brakes, like I give it Aggie and I slap his hand away, which is
There's a fine line for the nipples, I reckon,
Like,
because if you're not in the right mood, and this is actually the same for any part of your body, really.
Yeah.
If you're not in the right mood, stimulation of those areas feels annoying. It doesn't feel pleasurable. Like it can feel like being tickled or it can feel painful or something. But if you're super aroused, then it feels really good.
But it's interesting because sometimes I experience responsive desire and sometimes I don't through that. But in terms of like during sex and during play, love it. Love it. My favorite toy, I haven't actually like branched out and tried. I want to try all of the nipple toys because I haven't tried enough. Because we've tried, which I've talked about previously, the nipple suckers. So just like the easy squeezy, squeeze it, put it on, and that suctions it. And that's awesome. And I love those because when you're having sex, you can twist them, you can pull on them, you can tug on them. Like you can do these different things and it just like lights it up. And like, the twisty pull, I love it. I've also recently tried kind of lasso style ones. So they've got, do you know, are they Fetish Fantasy? The ones that I tried?
I think so, yeah.
I think we'll put it in the show notes. But like they've got a tiny little vibrator and then essentially like a little silicone lasso, and so the idea is that you can put it around and like tighten it to the degree that you want and then put the vibrator on and then obviously that lights it up. My nipples are actually, despite the fact that my boobs are huge, my nipples are on the smaller side, so the lasso didn't work. We actually tried it very recently and we put on the suckers to try and make it bigger so that we could try the lasso and then we just got distracted and got too into it and didn't even like retry. So yeah. And also nipple piercings are really cool if you are into nipple play. I've got just the one, and that's a lot of fun.
How does that interact with like nipple toys?
So
do you have to take it out?
So far, not so much. I mean, I wouldn't really want to fuck around with it. I mean, I've already had to mess around with taking it out in the throes of passion, and I mean, it was made for a hilarious story, but it's not something I want to make a habit of.
Fair.
Yeah, the nipple suckers don't. We tried it. The nipple sucker doesn't go around, so we couldn't use it.
Yeah.
And then we considered trying the lasso and actually hooking it under the piercing, but like, even though I know people who like love having their piercings tugged on, like because my nipples are on the smaller side, I'm just a bit concerned about.
Yeah, they would make me nervous.
Yeah. So haven't actually tried, let alone come across a toy that interacts with it positively.
Have you tried your like clitoral toys on your nipples, like suction toys, or do you have any of the Zoomio style toys with the long end that spins around really fast?
I want something thin and pinpointed for my
See, I think they like oh, right. But I think they would feel quite good on the nipple for people.
No, I agree.
I've got 2 Zoomios, but I don't use them because I don't like nipple stimulation, and they'll be super intense. But I feel like for people that do like it, they're these long, thin vibrators, and they move around in really fast circles, so they like oscillate. And I think that might feel kind of good, but I don't know.
I think I might have tried like my cocoa on my nipples once or twice.
Yeah.
And I just was kind of like...
Feels better on the clit.
Yeah. Although, like, I really need to just like pop a nipple sucker on while I'm like masturbating and just start yanking on it, because I always leave it to like partner play when really I could be doing it myself.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, I am a big fan of the nipple play, me personally.
Yeah, I'm jealous because all of the look of nipple toys appeals to me.
Yeah.
I'll see things and I was like, oh, that looks so fun. And I was like, you know it won't. Like, I know it won't, you know?
The bucket list on nipple toys is I want to try a clamp style, and, you know, which comes with that, like, one with, like, cute little tassels.
Yeah, yeah.
And I like the look of the ones that have, like, 4-way kind of screws going in. Like, a bit more, like, kink style. Yeah. I like the look of those, but, I'm not sure how that would work size-wise. I think if it was a 4-way, it would be okay.
Yeah, you'd be able to get enough, I reckon.
And I know that on Adult Toy Mega Store, we sell, use code Rodeo10 for 10% off. We sell like these little magnet ones, but I just know for a fact that wouldn't work for me because they would just go zoop.
Yeah, true.
My nipples are too small.
Connect at the top.
Yeah, literally. So yeah, I still have a plethora of things I want to explore there, and I think for anyone who has nips and hasn't explored that sort of thing, do it in your own time. Give it a little pinch, give it a little tug, get in the mood, like get into some masturbating, get into your own, you know, sexual law space, and then put it in there, because like we said, kind of you want to be aroused before you throw it in there. Yeah. Because if you are into it, it's so much fun, and obviously if you have partners that are into your boobs, it's very fun for them.
Yeah, poor Jay. My man.
Oh, he's fine. You're a catch.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's move on to the vulva and the clitoris.
Yeah.
My favourite parts.
Yeah, that's your favourite?
For touching.
Yeah, I mean, that is my favourite too.
The clitoris. Oh, so good.
Clit.
So joyful.
For sure.
What an amazing little creation there, eh? You know?
Hats off to the chef.
Oh, chef's kiss, baby. 10 out of 10. Would touch again. So the clitoris. What do we know about it? Well,
interesting developments in the last year or two.
Yeah, so 4 years. 4 years. We thought that the clitoris had around 8,000 nerve endings in it. And this was based on some scientific research looking at the clitoris. Unfortunately, what recently came to the forefront is that the scientific research was not actually based on a human clitoris, but on bovine clitoris. So the clitoris of a cow.
Yeah.
What has recently happened, literally last year, is that a surgeon, Dr. Blair Peters, was actually, so they are a trans surgeon, so they do lots of gender reconstructive surgery, and actually looked at the structure of a human clitoris for the first time.
Funny that.
I know. And guess what? Way more nerve endings than we thought. It's actually closer to 10,000 nerve endings. So this is why clitoral stimulation feels so good to so many people, because that motherfucker is jam-packed with nerve endings.
That's so much. An extra 2,000?
Right. I know. And I'm like, I'm going to find all of you. Let's go.
I'm going to stimulate. I'm going to light up all 10,000 of those bad boys.
Yes. Yeah. So that's like my favourite fact currently.
Yes. I was telling someone about that the other day because we were having a discussion about just science not really giving enough of a shit about female bodies. Female anatomy in all areas. You know, if you think about how it bleeds into birth control and whatnot. And we could have a whole other episode on that.
God.
But yeah, I threw that out and I was like, did you know that we thought we had 8,000 nerve endings on our clit because of cows?
It's fucked, right?
Good for the cows though. 8,000. They're almost up there with us.
I know. That got us, not recently, but a little while ago, got the team Googling what other animals have clitorises. Oh. Obviously, this got us Googling what other animals have clitorises because need to know, right?
Yeah.
So the clitoris is found in all terrestrial vertebrates. How the fuck do you say that? Vertebrates?
Vertebrate.
Nah. B-R-A-T-E-S? Vertebrates?
Vertebrate.
Including lizards, snakes, crocodiles, turtles, and mammals. So bottlenose dolphins, clitoris. What else? There's also lizards have 2-part clitorises that they can tuck back into their bodies.
What do you mean 2 parts?
I don't know. I don't know.
You might have to do your own research here, team, if this intrigues you.
spotted hyenas have 8-inch clitorises. I mean, incredible.
What's the difference between an 8-inch clitoris and a penis? Because a penis is just a clit that grew.
Yeah, so very similar.
Oh, so I guess it's just like the female.
Yeah, because it's a female.
Good for them.
I know. Isn't this amazing? So anyway, that's so fun. But the other thing that people should know about the clitoris is that what you see on the outside is just the tip of the iceberg, baby.
Yes.
So your clitoris is a lot bigger than what you can see. So on the outside, you've got the clitoral hood, which is that little kind of flap of skin, maneuverable. You can kind of pull it back over itself, or it can wear its little hood. It's like a little foreskin, like a little hat for your clitoris. Super cute. And then beneath that, you've got the clitoral gland. So that's the kind of firm bit, that kind of like little nub that you can feel. It's erectile tissue, so it becomes engorged when you're aroused. It becomes engorged with blood flow. Feels extra special when it's full of blood. But it also extends deep into your body. So it's like a wishbone shape. So you've got the two little legs of the clitoris, and then there's also the bulbs as well. Tasha's doing a little shape to camera. Gorgeous. So all of that feels sensitive. So although you are stimulating the outside in a lot of cases, there are also ways that you can stimulate the internal structure of the clitoris, which we'll talk about in a little moment. Because in a lot of cases, you might think that you're actually stimulating a different part of your body, but where you're feeling sensation is in fact the clitoris, because it's just so magical and amazing. And for most people with a clitoris, this is the kind of stimulation that is probably going to bring you to orgasm.
Yes. Yeah, it's definitely the easiest. Is that because of how many nerve endings it has?
I think so. It's because it's got so many nerve endings and so much erectile tissue. And so, like I said, even though you're stimulating other parts of your body, the majority of the time the orgasm from those areas is in fact a clitoral orgasm.
Yeah, definitely.
So it really is. It is that nerve density, and, you know, like, just it feels so good, right? Right?
Yeah, I mean, pretty short and sweet from me. Love a bit of clit action. We've all heard about it. I love a clit toy. If I'm masturbating, I'm just whacking something on there and that's it.
Yeah.
If I'm having sex, I'm also whacking something on there.
Yeah, I'm exactly the same for sure. But there are other areas of your vulva that also have, like, you know, like sensitivity and feel really good as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you've got your vulva, and your labia minora as well. Like, all of your labia has nerve endings as well. So all of that feels good. All of that also, you know, you can feel when you are aroused, you can feel the blood flow going into all of those areas. You kind of get that deep throbbing, you know, when you're really aroused. And like a lot of that is clitoral, but it's still, you know, you feel it through the rest of there as well. So that's why when Tash, for instance, used the pussy pump, you know, like increasing blood flow through all of the vulva and making it feel more sensitive is the point of those.
Yeah, I mean, externally, like, it was, definitely sensitive.
Yeah, so don't just, you know, I love the clitoris, but give everywhere else a little bit of love and see what feels good to you too.
Going down on a vulva, suck on the labia.
Yeah. But then focus on the clitoris eventually. Because,
see if they're into it, obviously. But like, there's little things you can do that people don't think of. Sometimes that feels nice. Yeah. I like it.
Do you know what? There's this part of my body, because the tendon, you know how there's tendons on the side of like that area where it connects to your legs?
I'm going to be real, I didn't.
Okay. I fucking hate that area being touched.
Oh, wait, like on your thigh?
Yes, like the connection between like your thigh and like if you open your legs and there's like the tendon like right on either side of your labia.
Major artery?
Yeah. Something about that area being touched, it makes me feel like
I've got a lot
sick.
of extra cushioning, so I don't
right.
We're just sitting here touching all of the bits we're doing. We're just grabbing my thighs.
Yeah.
No, I've got very, very thick, squishy thighs, so I don't really have that problem.
Oh, okay, interesting. Yeah, I guess it's because
I can understand how that would probably feel uncomfortable, though.
Yeah. It grosses me out. Anywho, test it out. You might love it. I don't know.
Any other hot tips for some sexy vulva action?
I think just like explore it more, you know, like I think that there's a bit of a trend towards things like clitoral suction toys that are very like just clitoral glands specific.
Yeah.
But I think that being able to kind of like explore a bit wider of an area is kind of cool too, like exploring your labia a little bit, which is actually why I really like wand vibes as well, because they're so big that you get more of like the surface area as well, which is really fun.
I actually do think like a lot of the time when I think I'm playing with my clit, I'm you know, kind of at the base of the vagina, like general, just like all around it feels nice. Sometimes the clitoris is too sensitive, so you can kind of like, even with suction toys, like take them down a little lower and it still feels really good. Like actually move them around and like find different spots, because it all feels good externally.
Yeah.
You never know what will work for you. You might have like a secret ticket spot just like, you know, a few centimeters south of the clit, a couple centimeters to the left, and the next time you're with someone you can be like, yo, hit that.
That's the pleasure party.
And watch my legs shake. It's the pleasure party.
So speaking of like going lower, we can talk a bit about the vagina, because I reckon the opening of the vagina, having that area stimulated, feels really good.
We had the most enlightening conversation randomly on a Friday night drinks. It was you, me, Tika, and was it Connie? Like one of the old girls that worked with us, because we were having a discussion about G-spot stimulation.
Yeah.
And it was about how kind of the typical thing you get told to do is like the curvy finger kind of like come hither motion. And I have had many a person try that on me and I don't like it. And we discovered that two of us, the other two people, not Emma and I, really liked that. And that like hits their G-spot perfectly. Whereas you and I actually prefer fingering for the stimulation near the base, right?
100%. I like the feeling of that little bit of like movement in and out and like pressure in that area.
Yeah.
I don't need deep like penetration like that. Like we'll talk a bit about the G-spot as well, obviously. But the G-spot for me, it does make me feel like I need to pee. And I can get beyond that, but normally I need like a lot of stimulation in the area, which fingers going in and out doesn't provide. It just doesn't do that for me, if you know what I mean. Like it's better if I've got a toy that I can just like have in place and kind of maneuver a little bit.
Or like one of them tapping ones.
Yeah. That's better for me.
Yeah, I definitely find like I've had people like try and like, you know, park some fingers up there or like do what. It is just truly all about the in and out for me. And like just like the slower the better, honestly.
Same.
Beautiful. The more you can like appreciate the sensation, the better.
I'm exactly the same.
Yeah.
And because if Jay's going down on me, I need that stimulated as well. But normally it's just like, just chuck in a couple of fingers, hold that in place. And that's good. You know, like it's literally just that little bit of like just filling that area.
Yeah.
Or like a toy, like we use a glass toy or a metal toy basically every time as well. And just that little bit of like, that's enough movement. And he's like, barely moved it. But that's just the movement of my arm when I breathe. And it's like, perfect. So let's talk about why the vagina feels good.
Yeah.
Because this is fun. So the opening of the vagina, that feels good because that is probably the area they think that has the most amount of nerve endings
comparative to the rest of the vagina.
To the whole rest of the internal canal.
Yeah.
But the vagina has all of these different points that people talk about. So we've talked about the G-spot. Mm-hmm. Now, what we found about the G-spot after many years of the scientists also ignoring that area, shout out to Dr. Helen O'Connell, I'm pretty sure her name is. She was an Australian researcher, and it's basically her that discovered like why things feel good and really like looked at the G-spot. But what we found is that it's actually not. How do we describe this? So it's called the clitoro-urethro-vaginal complex. So CUV complex, don't worry, just call it the CUV complex, everyone.
CUV complex.
Yeah.
Are we still talking about the G-spot specifically?
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is the area where basically the internal structure of the clitoris, as we talked about before, basically connects with your bladder area, which is erectile tissue as well. And then obviously you're accessing that through the vaginal wall. So what you're really stimulating when you're having G-spot stimulation is actually the internal structure of the clitoris.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and because like I said, like when you are aroused, the clitoris fills with blood, so all of the internal part does as well. So it becomes wide, it becomes engorged. And so when you're penetrating vaginally, that's actually what you're stimulating. You're getting the legs and the bulbs of the clitoris.
Hence why foreplay, very important.
Very important.
Do you want the sex to be enjoyable for everyone? If you're having penetrative sex, You got to do that warm-up action because
Exactly.
that you get the payoff.
Yes. So if you do want to explore that area, it does feel different inside your body in terms of the texture of it, which is a good way to be able to find it. So the majority of the internal structure of your vagina will be kind of like the smooth skin. That area feels a bit rougher. So that's how you kind of know that you're in the right zone. There is a slight change in texture in the feel. So explore that yourself if you haven't already before you try and tell someone where it is, because you need to figure it out.
Yeah, 100%.
So what about the A-spot? Have you heard much about the A-spot?
I'm being very vulnerable on this episode. When we did the brief for this, I told Emma I was mistaken, and maybe it was just an association thing. I thought the A-spot was the wall that connects between the vaginal canal and the butthole. Not the butthole, but the
Inside your butthole.
Yeah, the wall between your vag and your butt.
Oh, but that's not far off.
Okay, so I thought the A spot was accessible essentially from the butthole because it had an A in it. I think that's where I got that from. So no, I don't think I know.
I think you kind of do though.
Oh, really?
Because so the A spot is if you're going for the G spot, that's generally about 2 inches kind of inside the vagina. The A spot is a little bit deeper. So you're going closer to your cervix. So depending on how long your vaginal canal is, it's like maybe an inch or 2 deeper than the G spot, and it doesn't feel different in terms of texture. But what people find is that if that part is massaged, you become more lubricated. This is kind of anecdotal talking about this. This isn't really like scientific necessarily. I do this with little bunny ears. But a lot of people find that they can access it through anal play because the wall of the vaginal canal and the anal canal is so thin.
Yes.
So in the same way, the reason that anal feels good for a lot of people that have a clitoris, number one, yes, your butthole is full of nerve endings, but also for a lot of people, you're also able to stimulate the internal structure of the clit via anal play as well, because it's all just so close and so connected. So again, like a lot of what you're feeling in most cases is that. But this is why a lot of people like that deep penetration, because it's like you're getting the A spot.
I just realised why I thought that I kind of had that wrong, and it's because we actually had a customer contact us saying that they wanted a toy to simulate their A spot vaginally, and so because I didn't know, I did some research, and then I think because they specified vaginally, I knew it could be accessed both ways, but I think I thought because it had the A that the traditional or like whatever the typical way was through the butt, because she specified
I see.
through her vagina. So
well, I've read about both, so
I mean that sounds great. I think I've had like blended orgasms where it was like A spot rather than G spot for sure. Like deep penetration, does feel good.
Yeah. And that'll be it, because the G spot's actually quite far forward. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like, literally, like you said, 2 inches in, like not very far at all.
Yeah. So a lot of like why people enjoy like that deep penetration is probably more A spot than G spot. Yeah.
It's interesting. Why doesn't it get as much clout as the G-spot, do you think?
I think it's because with all things, it's like really hard to prove that these spots even exist.
Sure.
And so people are like, I like deep penetration, and you might be saying that for years, but it's like until someone actually comes out and says, look, it's not necessarily scientifically proven. It seems like we have an A spot and people like it's stimulated. And so it's just kind of a discussion point. I mean, for years, people didn't even think the G-spot existed.
So it just comes back to scientific research not being put into female anatomy.
Yeah. And because in a lot of cases, they're like, we can't find necessarily a different structure of nerves, which is normally what you look for when you're talking about pleasurable spots. It's because of like nerve density, but they're like, we can't necessarily find this specific area of
different
increased nerves. Well, the nerve endings might not be there. It might not be because of nerve endings necessarily. So you know what I mean? Like,
could be the erectile tissue.
Exactly. It can be that. It can be like, it's like with the G-spot, like they're saying, well, it's not a spot because it's the intersection of your internal clitoris and the bladder and all of this stuff. So it's different from person to person because of the way our bodies work. So it's hard for them to say this is the G-spot and here's where it is because it's different for people.
Sure, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And erectile tissue, just so that everyone understands, I think, again, I have a base level understanding. It's essentially like rub it and it feels good.
Yeah, pretty much. Becomes engorged and usually also has nerve endings in those areas.
Cool.
Which is a great segue into the penis.
Yeah! Here we go, team.
So a lot of the penis, as you can all guess, is erectile tissue because it goes whoop. Party.
Erect.
Yeah. So again, this is the pleasure spot for people. If you go to with the penis, this is where things are going to feel good, okay?
This is where it gets interesting.
Yeah. So they believe it's around the same amount of nerve endings as the clitoris. And again, a lot of them are actually quite specific to like the glands of the penis, the head of the penis. And this is because basically the structures of our bodies are all the same up until 6 weeks. And then we split off into whichever genitalia we're going to have. So it means that all of those nerves exist and they're just spread out differently depending on which form our body takes in terms of our genitalia. So this is actually a good way to think about things. Like it's like if you were having sex with a man.
Okay. If I was having sex.
Yeah. If you were having sex with someone with a penis.
Yeah.
And you were only stimulating their scrotum.
Yeah.
Unlikely that they're going to orgasm.
Because that's the equivalent of someone just stimulating the outside of my vulva, but not like hitting the
or your vagina.
Yeah.
This is like someone only stimulating your vagina and not going for the clitoris.
Yeah.
So this is a good way to talk about this with a partner. If you have a partner with a penis and they're not really giving you enough clitoris stimulation that you need.
Oh, say hey,
that.
If I just fondled your scrotum for 5 minutes, would you feel happy about that?
Basically the same thing.
Interesting. Yeah, my favorite fact about the whole we're all the same up until 6 weeks and then it changes, splits into each sex typically, is the seam that runs down the scrotum is actually where if someone with a penis were to have been born with female anatomy, that's where the labia would have split, right?
Yeah.
I love that because when I read that and I learned that, something clicked in my brain because I always just used to look, you know, you're down there, you're given a godly blowjob, as I often do. And you see that little seam, like I always was just like, what is that about?
Why is that there?
Well, like, it's just so uniform.
Yeah, it is.
It's just very
and it's like, and because it looks like a vein, right?
Yeah.
And so it's always kind of like, why do you have one big vein? But where's the, like, one? Do you just have one in your ball sack? Like, where is the rest?
One whole vein. So if you've ever seen a scrotum and you've wondered what that little seam is, that's what it is. Or if you've got a scrotum and you've never actually noticed it, take a quick peek.
Yeah. Bend down, take a look.
Get in front of the mirror, lift it all up.
Yeah.
See what's
Check
going
it out.
on.
Yeah. Isn't that just such a fun fact?
It is.
That it's just like really all the same. So it's just like everything has its like partner. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the scrotum become the labia.
Yeah.
The clitoris becomes the penis.
Yes. And so getting into like what feels good for people with penises, because the head of the penis and kind of the little seam underneath, is it the frenulum?
Yeah, the frenulum.
Like that seems to be like the height of sensitivity, and especially the head of the penis is like the height of sensitivity. Is that like, I mean, the whole penis is essentially the same as the clitoris. Is that just because it's like the very front bit?
It's just the way that the nerve structure has like worked out basically. Okay. But if you're thinking about like what you have access to, you can consider that part as very similar to the glands of the clitoris in terms of how pleasurable things are going to feel. So stimulating the glands of the clitoris feels amazing. Same vibe for the head of the penis. Yeah. And it's just that very like sensitive top bit. And then of course there's like, it feels good the rest of the shaft as well, but that's really where the party is.
I love doing a bit of that, like just doing some licking or you know, kind of like softly puckering my lips and like just teasing that little kind of seam bit underneath.
Yeah.
Like it's just, you can do just like very little with it and it can get a lot back.
Yeah. Big impact. Big impact.
What else? What are your tips and tricks?
For the penis?
Yeah.
I just love it, nurture it, care for it. No, I'm the same. I always just focus on like the head, you know. The hands can do the shaft. That's fine. But that head is really, you know, where the party is. And yeah, you're right, the frenulum and stuff, and like all around kind of like the glands, like underneath the glands and stuff as well, like kind of getting in there with the tongue. Yeah.
You got to do the washing machine.
Get all around there.
The gif of Patrick. I have quite a small mouth and I don't have a particularly long tongue, so if I'm trying to do that, I have to be like...
I've got a huge tongue.
That must come in handy.
Miley Cyrus tongue up in here. So yes, we love the head of the penis.
Yeah, give the head some love. Not too much though, because
sensitive.
That can get overly sensitive, and then you can kind of pump the brakes quite quickly if you're doing that.
Yeah, this is why there's lots of head toys coming out as well. So for a long time, if you were kind of getting a penis toy, it was really focused on kind of stroking, and so there were things that would kind of encompass the whole penis.
Yeah.
But lately, I've seen like a lot more of just like head specific toys.
Yeah.
So they kind of look like strokers, but they're very small, or it's a vibrator that's kind of almost in a cone shape that you can hold over the top,
like a dome.
Yeah, and it vibrates against the head of the penis. And I think that's something that we'll keep seeing like more of, like more ways just to stimulate that head part as well, which is cool. So test those out. Have a look at those if you really love like the tip of your penis being stimulated, because they're very targeted, like very fun and nice and small, and they come from the top angle, so you can still stroke up and down like a regular like hand job or whatever, and then just pop it on the top as like a little like fun addition.
Love it.
Yeah.
Or if you're someone with a partner with a penis and you've got your own like little vibrator, you can just kind of put that up against like the bottom of the base, like just below the head of it, or like, you know, obviously with their with their consent, just because it could be quite intense. Like if you've got it nice and lubricated, just try that around the head of the penis and see if they're into that.
Love that. Now, we've talked quite a bit on this season about the balls, because we like ball stretchers and we just like balls. So we'll just briefly talk about them.
Yeah.
Just use a ball stretcher. If you're into ball play, like, just do it.
If you've been listening up until this point and you've been humming and hawing about it when we've talked about it, I don't know what more we can say to convince you.
Honestly.
Get on the ball stretchers team. You know what? If by the end of the season we get one person that emails you and says, I tried a ball stretcher at your guys' recommendation and it was life-changing, that would probably be one of my highlights.
100%. They're so good.
They're very fun.
They love them.
Yeah.
They love them.
Yeah. And, you know, if you're wanting to figure out if you're into that, or you're with someone you wanted to figure out if they're into that, you know, give it a little gentle squeezy and then, you know, give it a little tug.
Yeah, just a little tug.
See what
just
the
a little stretch.
vibe is.
See what they like. Jay also likes vibration on the balls as well. So like using like a little bullet or something like that, like, or a wider one, like a wider kind of lay-on vibrator as well, which are just a bit more shapely. They might be in a circle or like a square shape, so they've just got more surface area. So he really likes that on the balls as well, which is fun because you can just kind of hold it. Like put the vibrator in your hand and then just cut the balls, and it's just like good times
very good,
for
very good.
everyone. So last week we talked about the prostate because we were talking about pegging.
Yeah.
So I reckon if we just do a short bit about this, because we talked a lot about like why it feels good.
We did.
One thing that I forgot to talk about is that you can stimulate the prostate from the outside of the body as well.
Can you?
Yes, you can.
How?
So this is great because this is Jay's new favourite thing for me to do anytime we're doing anything. So from the perineum, also known as the taint or
the gooch.
Yay!
We were talking about this before. We were like, man, the perineum has the best nicknames.
Taint. Oh, good
Gooch.
words.
Gooch.
Good words. But yeah, so you can actually, if you apply enough pressure through the perineum, you can actually stimulate the prostate via the external part. So we do this just with fingers. It's not, I mean, my nails are a bit long at the moment, but when I've got shorter nails, just like honestly like 2-3 fingers just pressing on it. He fucking loves it. Otherwise, a wand vibrator there is real good. So it's obviously not as direct as going through your butthole.
Yeah.
But you can do it. And I think that's such a good starting point for people who aren't sure about prostate stimulation.
Yes.
Because you just add that little bit of stimulation, that little bit of pressure, which is what the prostate responds to anyway. So even if you're doing it internally, it's like pressure that it really likes. But yeah, you can get it through there. So that's just the best starting point for people.
Yeah, I'm not actually an expert. I mean, I'm very beginner when it comes to like prostate play and like even like kind of taint and gooch stimulation. Like I've read stuff about it. I feel like when I've tried stuff, it hasn't necessarily elicited much of a response. So maybe that's just the people that I'm trying it with.
Yeah, right.
Or maybe they haven't tried it themselves, so they don't know how to like direct me as to what's the best. But so that's obviously why people say, because I have read like if you just put some light pressure on the taint, then that is like quite good. But I never understood why.
Oh, right.
Fun fact.
I know, it's a good one.
Yeah.
Because now anytime I'm sucking dick or anything, like always.
So you just got 2 flat fingers.
Yeah.
Just person.
It is hard though.
Like your hands out like you're serving something. 2 fingers, just push up.
Bang. It's difficult though because he also likes balls stimulated and mouth and hands
so
all on the go at the same time.
This hand,
this hand's alternating between the balls and the shaft, and it's it's all. It's
not multitasking that I'm afraid of. It's the prostate.
Yeah. I'm afraid of multitasking.
Okay.
It gets really hard.
I'm just a tiny woman.
I've just got small hands.
If you could have an extra arm or 2 appear in the same way that a penis gets erect, so it only kind of appears when you're aroused, for the sake of sexual pleasure, would you take that?
Yeah. Of course.
Good.
Yeah. I need more. Is it a longer limb or is it an extra hand?
It's an extra arm.
Oh, an extra arm. Oh,
yeah,
fun.
did I say
and
hand?
Can I determine the length of the arm?
No, I'm just thinking like, because the only like downside I can think of this is like if you were someone who like hooks up with people, you kind of have to be like, hey, just when I get turned on, an extra arm's going to appear.
Oh, that's fun.
Well, yeah, most people will be into it.
Yeah, I can touch more
I'll be
parts
like, an
of your
extra
body.
arm.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about what we can do here.
Yeah.
What's on the menu?
Everything.
I'll be like, I want one of your hands on my boob, one on my butthole, and then one on my vag.
Yeah. Because I need it a little bit longer because as we discussed last week with the pegging episode, it was quite hard to do the old reach around.
So that's why you're asking about the length
I
of the limb.
need a slightly longer arm than my current arm.
Okay, what if it's just one stumpy little arm?
Is it wide?
Why does that matter?
For spanking.
Where my brain went?
Fisting, yeah. I see it now.
I was like, okay,
I see what's happened here.
Okay.
And tune in next week for our fisting episode.
I also would take it.
Yeah.
I would take it.
I mean,
I want a tail. I want a tail that appears and I can make it.
You can penetrate with it. Yeah. And have full control over the whole situation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I would take an appendage. Could I determine when it showed up?
No, that wasn't the point of the exercise.
What if it happened every time I was aroused? Like, what if I was walking down the street,
same as having an erection,
listening to erotica?
Oh, I see. Yeah, that's part of the deal.
Okay, I guess it doesn't look suspicious because it's just another. I mean, it is suspicious.
If it's just an other arm coming out of your torso, you just tuck it into your pants like you would with a boner.
Yeah, as long as it's not dick shaped, I don't see a problem here.
Okay, so the answer is yes.
Yeah.
If anyone else has any thoughts, if you're listening on Spotify, there's a little Q&A. Can we please?
Yes, we will ask about the extra appendage.
Yeah. Please answer it. I want to know.
Oh, they will.
Someone will be like, no.
But we need more information. If you say no, you have to email us why.
Because it's weird.
Let's talk quickly about erogenous zones.
Is that not what we've been doing the whole time?
No, those are your genitalia and
okay.
So erogenous zones, they are considered erogenous zones. But I think that a lot of people kind of differentiate because these are just like erogenous zone is a part of your body that can become like sexually aroused via stimulation, right? But the erogenous zones are usually like the kind of like unusual ones, like not the obvious like genitalia, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do you have any spots that get you going? Because this could be like the back of the ear, the neck, and a thigh. These are erogenous zones.
Yes. An easy one is neck kissing, obviously. That feels great. I actually do find that my ears are really sensitive. I had one of my like older boyfriends, like we were like quite young and like we just used to like suck on each other's earlobes. And I think about it and I'm like, oh, great times. Love it. Love that we were just young and just like didn't really give a shit. And we're just doing this shit. Like we would just spend ages just like sucking on each other's lobes and it felt fucking fantastic. I can't lie.
Cute. So is this instead of like sucking dick and stuff because you're just young?
No.
Oh, doing that as well.
I think it was like hand stuff at that point. It was anyway. No, yeah, it was just like very much part of the like young early days, like just spending ages making out, basically.
Yeah, right,
and so you were just kind of, that's one of the things I miss about being like young prior to having sex, is that like there was so much more exploration before going to the genitalia. Like actually, like at least in my experience, there was so much exploration of erogenous zones that were not genitalia, and like as an adult, people just aren't necessarily inclined to do that. So yeah, you know, just like sucking on the lobe, a little bit of a nibble. I don't like them breathing in my ear. You will ruin it if you breathe too heavily in my ear.
I'm going to start breathing in your ear.
Please
all
don't.
the time.
I think that's why I really hate ASMR, even though I always pretend to do it on here. So yeah, like kind of neck and ear is one for me. I think that's it. Yeah.
I've got kind of a weird one.
Yes.
My kneecap. Why are you laughing?
Because in How I Met Your Mother, like there's this whole storyline about how like Ted thinks that like Robin has like her left knee is an erogenous zone or something, and she was actually just kind of saying it, just being like, yeah, whatever. Oh. So I just thought of that. But please tell me about your thing.
Well, I don't know. One day Jay was just kind of stroking it, and I was like, that's getting me real aroused.
Is it both your knees or just one of them?
Both of them. And then we discovered that it's like a bit of a thing for me. Like if you touch it really slowly, it does get me going. It sends some jolts through the old clito, eh?
That's
like
cool.
It feels good.
I love that.
Yeah.
So like if you're like having sex, if you're like on your back, you could have your knees up and he could just be like,
yeah,
just stroking up on your knees.
I don't even think we've done it during like actual like play. I think it's always just been like a bit of a precursor. Yeah, foreplay.
You could try it during
knee play.
Knee play.
Yeah.
My advice from this whole thing is like, and this is advice for myself too, like we need to get back to just like really exploring erogenous zones, keeping it like light and playful before just getting into like the thick of sex, just because I'm reminiscing right now.
Yeah, well, that's funny because I didn't have that, because when I was a teen, I've talked about this before, but I was a super late bloomer. And so I never had boyfriends and stuff throughout like high school or anything like that. Yeah. So there was no hooking up or anything like that. I just went straight in and just had sex with someone without anything else. Like I hadn't even given a blowjob before.
That's wild.
You know, before I had sex. And so it was like, I don't know, I kind of missed a little bit of like the fun, like not touching other parts, like, or, you know, like doing like we can do this, but not this, you know, it was just kind of like straight in, like, let's just have sex. And then before that, nothing. So,
that's so interesting.
Yeah, I know.
I've always thought my experience with it was a bit weird because I had two boyfriends in high school when I was like 15, 16. And so we were like, we're not going to have sex. We were actually like kind of responsible for like the age we were. We're like, we're not going to have sex, but we are going to do other stuff. And it was always like quite gradual. So I did like basically everything except sex or like anal play by the age of like 16, and then didn't have a boyfriend for 5 years, and then didn't have sex until I was 20.
Yeah.
So like I was like doing stuff like kind of, because if I think about like at the time I didn't feel young, but if I think about a 15-year-old like getting eaten out, I'm like, that's weird.
Yeah. Well, it is weird.
And I remember telling one of my like sister and her friends about it, and they were like, ugh. And I was like, why do you think that's weird? But now I'm like, yeah, that was quite young. But yeah, like then there was just this massive break. And then like if I were to just say like I had sex when I was 20, that's considered like a later age. But I mean, I'm happy that that happened. Yeah. And I'm happy that I had the exploration beforehand. But I think you've obviously kind of leveled it.
I've made up for it for sure.
Yeah, more than made up for the exploration.
I discovered that my kneecap was a hot place to touch.
Very sexy.
We exploring.
We do be exploring.
Yeah, but I have had to make up for it. But this is the thing. I swear, all the sex nerds that I know, late bloomers.
Some people are into armpits.
I can kind of see that. It's pretty sensitive in there.
Yeah, some people like to lick armpits.
Yeah. I don't want to lick it. I love to
think
smell
it might be.
Jay's,
I think it's
though.
a lot of a sweat thing. Yeah, I do like a bit of.
Yeah, Jay's sweat smells good.
Touching up on armpits. Not me. Not my thing.
Nah, I think it's that though. It must be a scent thing, eh? Because that's such a like a hormonal thing.
It's a scent, like a pheromone sweat, primal. It's along those lines, absolutely.
Because I will get in Jay's pits.
Yeah. So I mean, the takeaway is
get in the pits.
Everyone's. No, the takeaway is that like erogenous zones are hiding everywhere.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, maybe just like a nice little shoulder rub. I mean, a back massage will do it for a lot of people.
It'll either get me going or send me straight to sleep. That's it. Normally to sleep.
There's a high risk, high reward.
Yeah, for me.
Massages I get from George never end in sleep because he spends about 5 minutes on my back and then the rest of the time on my butt.
Yeah. That happens.
Yeah.
I fall asleep quite fast.
You're like, too late.
Sorry, wake up like 2 hours later like, did we have sex?
Was it good for you? He's just
we'll try again next week, babes.
Tapping on your butt. Any other general kind of advice to leave off, end off the episode from you?
I don't think so. I think that if you aren't sure about these areas or you don't know where they are, just Google it. And find out some find some articles that talk about it. Like find some images. Don't Google image butthole or something like that.
Or snake clitorises if you're afraid of snakes.
Yeah. But, try and find some scientific images of the anatomy.
Yeah.
And just see what things look like and try and kind of figure that out on your own body. Obviously, we are all different.
Yes.
So what you see is probably not necessarily going to be exactly the same. So keep exploring and don't be deterred if an area doesn't feel good. Because like we've talked about, nipples, not really for me. G-spot, not really for me. A-spot, not really for me. Quite a few areas actually off limits.
Clit, butt, and vulva, however.
And the kneecap.
And her knees.
But yeah, have fun with it as well because our bodies are built for pleasure in my opinion. So
yes. This is what, I don't know what everyone's opinion is or what our purpose is. I don't really care about figuring out what my purpose is, but my personal purpose is to just have as much pleasure as I can along the way. Yeah. So make sure you're exploring, team. And like Emma said, don't be afraid of Googling shit. I still, as an adult, will Google how to do certain sex acts. And sometimes I feel really embarrassed about it. And I'm like, I work, I co-host a podcast about sex. I work for a sex toy company. Why am I looking up how to do this certain thing? But the reality is, like Luna said, sex is a skill.
Yeah.
And so just look it up and then you'll have the confidence to try it on yourself and then potentially if you want to with someone else and everyone benefits from that.
We all benefit, babes.
Oh,
okay?
yeah.
Okay.
Those are the real friends with benefits. Yeah, so that's this week. We'll see you next time and, get out there, do some exploring.
Stay erotic.
Stay erotic, baby.
Bye.
Bye.
You've been listening to the Electric Rodeo podcast by Adult Toy Megastore.
Follow Electric Rodeo free on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
And to keep up to date with our bucket list progress, follow at Electric Rodeo Podcast on Instagram.